From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tim Coco, and this is WHAV's Open Mic Show. Chris Porter is producing in master control. You all remember Chris, the man with 5 radio jobs, most of them unpaid, and we're glad to contribute to his non-income. Well, thank you, Chris, for being a volunteer. Chris is actually one of the busiest people in the industry that I know, and we'll go through his resume at some point. Anyway, tonight is a great program, as you may all know, and if you don't, we'll certainly tell you about it. The Feast of the Three Saints, the 93rd Annual Feast of the Three Saints, is coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have 2 special guests coming on the program right after the 7 o'clock news, and that's Domenic Messina, former president of the St. Alfio Society that operates this event, and Jack Roy. Longtime viewers of the Open Mic Show will remember that Jack has been on the program before. He's like Chris. He's another one of those volunteers on every committee board, does everything, especially with youth athletics. So we're going to welcome Jack Roy and Domenic Messina and talk about the Feast of the Three Saints. Also on the program tonight, we have something from the Democratic breakfast, the Democratic City Committee breakfast that took place in Haverhill Saturday. No, it's not too political, and I'll tell you what, we'll give equal time to any Republican who is willing to write a poem and sing like Dan Speers has done. We're going to play Dan Speers. He actually sings it for us. He wrote a poem on the spot during the Haverhill Democratic City Committee breakfast, and he sang it into WHAV's microphones. Again, equal time. Any Republican who wants to sing a short poem can do so as well for equal time. Okay, a little bit, when you hear the song, you'll understand why I am smiling. But Dan Speers really, and this is here's a suggestion for Haverhill Mayor Jim Fiorentini. Dan Speers should be Haverhill's poet laureate. He writes poems on the spot just like John Greenleaf Whittier used to do. When Whittier went to something like the dedication of the new Haverhill Public Library way back when, he wrote a poem for it. He wrote a poem about Canosa Lake. Well, Dan Speers is cut from the same cloth as Whittier. He should be Haverhill's poet laureate, and I think most of you who know Dan will agree with me. And when you hear his poem tonight, singing his poem on top of everything, I think you'll agree. Tonight is the night we give away the Albide's second-generation Italian bakery cake to the winner of the birthday or anniversary contest. You still have time, about an hour and a, well, let's see, an hour and 15 minutes or so, 6:30, 7:30. Yeah, about that, I guess. Anyway, call in if you wish someone a happy birthday or a couple a happy anniversary. They could very well win the cake tonight. All you have to do, very simple, dial 978-374-1900. Wish Maggie a happy birthday or Maggie and Mark a happy anniversary, as long as it's taking place in September. We work a month ahead, and we'll do our best to help you pick that. Now, I always recommend this, and of course, one of our longtime listeners, Brian, has got it down. You wish a happy birthday or anniversary to your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers, someone who can share a piece of that delicious Albide's second-generation Italian bakery cake. And, of course, if you want to buy one on your own, they are at 140 South Main Street in Bradford. Albidi's second-generation Italian bakery, longtime supporters of WHAV's Open Mic Show. We have a couple of other questions coming up tonight. You know what? I'm going to ask Chris. This is a photo I added to the TV thing. It is the three saints that are represented for the 93rd Annual Feast of the Three Saints, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Chris will put them on screen. Maybe I'll change our Whittier trivia question. If you can name the three saints, be the first one to do that. We'll give you 2 free passes to Whittier Birthplace in Haverhill and Whittier Home Museum in Amesbury. So we'll, for now, discard our Whittier No question, and if you can name the three saints accurately and be the first one to do it by calling WHAV, you can win these free passes. Call 978-374-1900. Speaking of the Whittier Home Museum in Amesbury, Chris, I printed out something and, as usual, forgot to bring it in. They're having an event. We'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. Also, some familiar names and faces were honored at the Democratic City Committee breakfast. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not trying to be partisan. What I am saying is there was some interesting information about these individuals that we had not heard before, not political, just some good deeds around the community. We're going to go through some of those in a few minutes as well. First, how and where to listen. Well, just a few weeks away now, 97.9 FM WHAV coming off the tower at Silver Hill. A lot of activity around here, all kinds of gear being delivered to the transmitter building, and it's going to be a great day. WHAV FM 97.9 coming your way soon. Meanwhile, you can still listen on AM radio 1640 in northern Haverhill, Plastow, and Atkinson, New Hampshire. It's not very strong, but we've worked with this for some years. And of course, on the web, your computer or your smartphone, WHAV.net. You can listen to everything 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have iTunes on your desktop computer, not the version that comes with your phone, your desktop computer, you can choose Internet Radio on your iTunes application, Golden Oldies for a category, and then WHAV. Many thanks to our cable television affiliates. Atkinson, New Hampshire is now online. Thank you very much, Atkinson, for joining the WHAV family. Very much appreciate that. And of course, we also have in alphabetical order Andover, Channel 8, Haverhill, Channel 99 once in a while on the Education Channel, Methuen, Channels 8 and 22 on Comcast, Channel 32 on Verizon Fios, Plastow, Channels 17 and 23, Sandown, Channel 17. We thank these public access stations for carrying WHAV, but it's particularly valuable for those who do not have intranet access. Again, welcome, Atkinson, New Hampshire. Very happy to have you part of the WHAV family. There are all these new televisions, all kinds, anyone who's not just using a converter box in their old TV. Some of these so-called smart televisions give you the ability to listen to WHAV as well. You can use the TuneIn app. TuneIn, one word. Someone can help you download that on your device, and it'll work on Samsung Smart TVs, Panasonic Viera TV, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, on your Roku TV or Roku box, the Sonos system, Xbox One, a game platform you can receive HAV on. And, of course, if you have Apple TV, there's a separate little silvery box. You, again, like iTunes, you choose Internet Radio, Golden Oldies for a category, and then WHAV. On your smartphone or your tablet, you can also use an application that could either be TuneIn or Zia, if we're pronouncing this right, XIIA, Sunday Live, Zia Live, on your iPhone, your Android phone, your Windows phone, your BlackBerry, or any one of the supported tablets. So, more ways to listen to WHAV than anyone ever thought possible. And soon, WHAV FM at 97.9, as it was in 1947 coming off the tower at Silver Hill in the Mount Washington neighborhood. Speaking of the Mount Washington neighborhood, did anyone go to Neighbor Fest on Saturday? Hey, call in with your comments, your suggestions. I understand 50 people got free trees for their yard. Maybe you were one of them. Let's hear what you think about the this Mount Washington Alliance. They just were very successful, very well organized group led by Community Action in getting this great big grant called the Working Cities Challenge to help make Mount Washington neighborhood a better place. Let's hear your thoughts on that. 978-374-1900. Were you there? Did you get a tree? Let's hear all the information. I mentioned a minute ago that Whittier Home Association in Amesbury, that's the home Whittier moved to in 1836 when he left the farm in Haverhill. Well, they're having an event Saturday, September 10th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. It's called Celebrating Whittier 2016, a staged reading of selected passages of Delivering the Truth, a novel by Edith Maxwell featuring fictional midwife Rose Carroll and John Greenleaf Whittier. Now, that's not going to be at the Whittier home. That's going to be at the Amesbury Friends Meeting House. That's where Whittier worshipped. That's at 120 Friend Street, just down the street from the Whittier home in Amesbury. Tickets are $20 per person. You can buy them online at whittierhome.org, whittierhome.org, or you can call 978-388-1337. This is for Celebrating Whittier 2016 at the Amesbury Friends Meeting House in Amesbury. Tickets $20. Buy them online at whittierhome.org or call 978-388-1337. That sounds like a wonderful event. I actually plan to attend. Hope to see you there. So we have Whittier news. And, Whittier, of course, reminds me of our friend from Methuen, Jerry, worked at Department of Environmental Protection for 51 years, so he's our environmental consultant. I left a message for Jerry earlier. He's been trying to reach me. He would like to make a donation to WHAV. He told us all this on the air last week, and so you can too. You can also make a donation. All you have to do is you can call right now. Chris will take your credit card information or tell you where to mail an envelope if you prefer. You can call 978-374-1900. Now, why are we asking for donations? Well, WHAV is public radio, just like, those public televisions like Channel 2 or Channel 11 or WBUR or WGBH radio. It's public radio for Greater Haverhill, and that means by law is a non-profit corporation dependent on your contributions, your donations, and of course if you work for an organization, their corporate sponsorship as well. So you can simply send a check to WHAV 189 Ward Hill Avenue in Haverhill 01835, or you can do it online at whav.net. Anywhere you see Tom Bergeron's picture, you click on that. Tom is our honorary chairperson of the Make Waves campaign. Make Waves, bring local news to FM. And of course, Chris will be happy to take your information as well over the phone for the next 2 hours, 978-374 1900. Now, the other reason I mentioned Jerry, because Jerry is a fan of Robert Frost, a fan of Whittier, certainly a fan of the Merrimack Valley, and he has sung on the air too. So maybe when we come back from this break, which is Chris is getting the pad to remind me, come back from the break, we're going to hear Dan Speers sing his quickly written poem that he sang for WHAV Saturday morning. Okay, get your fingers on those dials, 978-374-1900. If you're just joining us, coming up at the top of the hour, Jack Roy and Domenic Messina going to be talking about the Feast of the Three Saints this weekend in Lawrence. But meanwhile, let's hear what's happening, what happened on this day in Massachusetts history, and we'll be right back.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
This is listener-supported community radio. WHAV is the Merrimack Valley's Pacifica affiliate.
Johnny Dollar.
Johnny Dollar, in spite of writing the fanciest expense accounts in the industry, is in high demand by his employers. He's a freelance insurance investigator on the job only when the stakes are sky high. When murder or fraud covers a venal grab for profits, it's Johnny's job to jolt the facts from those involved. Detective work in all corners of the world is a specialty for yours truly, Johnny Dollar, one of your great Sunday listening treats on CBS Radio.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, airs at 10 p.m. Sunday night with an encore performance at 1 a.m.
Today is August 29th. On this day in 1809, Oliver Wendell Holmes was born in Cambridge. The man who coined the phrase Boston Brahmin was a true member of that class, and he entertained the nation with poems, stories, and essays about its peculiar ways. A contemporary and friend of Hawthorne, Emerson, and Longfellow, Holmes was a guiding light behind the Atlantic Monthly, the journal that published many of his columns and verses. But Holmes' greatest legacy may have been his son, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr., who survived 3 serious injuries during his service in the Union Army to become a distinguished legal scholar. A justice of the United States Supreme Court for 30 years, Holmes had perhaps the greatest legal mind in the nation's history. For more about this and other Mass Moments, go online to massmoments.org. Brought to you by the Massachusetts Foundation for the Humanities.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I'm your host, Tim Coco. Coming up after the news at 7 o'clock, Domenic Messina, former president of St. Alfio Society, and Jack Roy, who's been on the Open Mic Show before, are going to be giving us a preview of the 93rd Annual Feast of the Three Saints, which takes place this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Can you believe September is upon us? Well, that means this week at 8:15 or so tonight, we're going to draw the winner of the Albee Second Generation Italian Bakery Cake Contest. So you still have a chance. Just nominate someone. Call the Open Mic Show and wish someone a happy birthday or a couple a happy anniversary. Chris will take down the information beforehand. He will put it into the hat, literally a hat, and I'll do the drawing about 8:15 tonight. Absolutely free, no obligation. The winner receives a 7-inch cake, choice of vanilla or chocolate, from Albidi, second-generation Italian bakery, 140 South Main Street here in Haverhill. So we're very, very pleased. Now, besides the birthday cake contest, we also have the Kimball Tavern Antiques trivia contest. To win a free $10 gift certificate, same as cash. That means if the item is $10 or less, it's absolutely free. Otherwise, $10 off, whatever you like over there. Here is the question from Kimball Tavern Antiques. Who ran the postage stamp shop inside Boris Migliori's bike shop back when it was on Fleet Street? That's the H.R. Sawyer Schwinn Bicyclery, but there was a stamp shop there. Who ran that shop? Give me the first and last name, and you can win a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques. Chris, do we have a photograph of Kimball Tavern Antiques for our television viewers? You know, I forgot to mention... Yes, I did forget. It's not on my list. WHAV, of course, live with high-definition video on Facebook as well. Go to WHAV's Facebook page to see this program in full resolution, color, and so on. That's another place you can participate with WHAV. So who ran the postage stamp shop inside Boris Migliori's bike shop, H.R. Sawyer Schwinn Bicyclery, back when it was on Fleet Street? Name the person who ran that shop, and you can win a $10 gift certificate. So we have birthday cakes. We have gift certificates to Kimball Tavern Antiques, and we're going to give away two, not just one, two free passes to Whittier Birthplace in Haverhill. That's at 305 Whittier Road, on just off Route 110 on your way to Merrimack. But if you act before midnight tomorrow, also includes the Whittier Home Museum in Amesbury. Whether you win or not, both of these places, summer, fall is upon us. They won't be open much longer for the season. You can go to Whittier Birthplace Wednesday and Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., anytime in between. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m. And the Whittier Home Museum, that's at 86 Friend Street in Amesbury, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So you can do that. Now, all you have to do is answer this question for our TV viewers. Chris will put up the three saints again. All you have to do is name those three saints. Just name the three saints, for the full names of the three saints, and when our guests are here, they'll let you know, and you could win the two passes to Whittier Birthplace and the Amesbury Whittier Home Museum. So get your fingers on your dials, 978-374-1900, 978-374-1900. Okay, so we've got our prizes out of the way. We've previewed our guests. Well, here is a treat. Dan Speers, in whom I said should be Haverhill's poet laureate. Like Whittier, Dan writes poems on the spot and for the occasion. Well, this is what he did at the Democratic City Committee breakfast on Saturday.
Day in America, it's a brand new day. We're on the right track, we're voting Democrat. Everything's going our way. Everyone can see we're voting Hillary. It's a brand new day. It's a great day in America. It's a brand new day.
All right. Chris was asking me who that was, and that's Dan Speers. And we are, again, offering equal time to a Republican who wants to write a poem and sing about Trump, perhaps. We'll keep that open. I just thought this was, not to be partisan, but just to talk about the talents of this man. Dan Speers writes it on the spur of the moment, sings it for us, and, I think we cut off the beginning of it. So just one more time.
It's a great day in America. America, it's a brand new day. We're on the right track, we're voting Democrat. Everything's going our way. Everyone can see we're voting Hillary. It's a brand new day. It's a great day in America. It's a brand new day.
Dan Speers wrote that and read it live, or sang it live, from Maria's Galleria Banquet Room on Essex Street Saturday morning. Thank you. Don't you agree? Okay, put the politics aside. Don't you think he should become Haverhill's Poet Laureate? I think the mayor could make that appointment without any particular issues from the city council. I think we all agree. Matter of fact, many of the city councilors were there, including a Republican. A little bit of a joke there, but there was one, and he was welcome. So not a big deal. But I will tell you that you may know if you read WHAV.net, where the text version of the news is every day, or you heard Dana Esmel's newscast last week. But among the honorees at the event were Haverhill City Councilors Mary Ellen Daly O'Brien and Tom Sullivan. And we learned a little more about them that I thought was interesting, but I particularly found interesting one of the distinguished Democrats. Again, not a partisan thing. When I tell you about it, you probably will agree. But the interesting thing is that Mary Ellen Daly O'Brien's dad was a longtime chairperson of the and treasurer of the Haverhill Democratic City Committee, more than 25 years, and her maternal grandmother was one of the first women to be elected from Amesbury to the State Democratic Committee. And that's important because on the Friday, it was Women's Equality Day, the 96th anniversary of the right of women to vote by constitutional amendment. But that was certainly interesting. I did not know that Mary Ellen Daly O'Brien was elected also by her parish to the St. Joseph's School Board, and she's certainly involved in other things like the Haverhill Chamber of Commerce winning opportunities for women. But now Tom Sullivan, now there were some interesting things. You know, sometimes we forget about people's long years of service. Tom has a master's degree in public administration. Of course, he's also an attorney. He worked as chief of staff to former state senator Jim Jujuga, and if you remember this, state rep Frank Emilio. In addition to being an instructor at UMass Lowell and Northern Essex Community College, also the executive director of the Practical Skills Institute at UMass Lowell. And in any event, you know that Tom is active, following in his father's footsteps, creating and keeping going the VFW Santa Parade, also vice chair of the Winnie Foundation, past president, current member of the Board of Career Resources. You might find some of those interesting. We got about a couple of minutes before, but what I really thought, some others who were honored as distinguished Democrats, former Haverhill City Councilor Ken Quimby, Denise Johnson, who was the first executive director of Brightside in Haverhill, and also worked for the person who spoke at the event, Nikki Songus, Congresswoman Nikki Songus, and Jane Thiefels. Now, Jane, really, this jumped out at me. Now, Jane taught English as a second language in Europe for several years, then came and taught at Northern Essex Community College for 32 years. But when she retired, okay, you think it's time to relax, time to do something else. She went back to school to become a registered nurse. Okay, after teaching 32 years, she goes back to school to become a registered nurse. You say, oh, okay, she's looking for a job. No, she did this so that she could volunteer on medical missions around the world. She has served on missions in Kenya, Senegal, India, Armenia, Nepal, Zambia, and the Dominican Republic. I found this not partisan. I found this very interesting, that sometimes, when someone is being honored, we learn some interesting background. Can you imagine working 32 years, retiring, then going to school, becoming a nurse so that you can donate your services. I found that pretty interesting. Maybe you agree. So not partisan. It's just very interesting. We got word today that one last chance for you to see or hear from the candidates running for Essex County Sheriff. The Democrats spoke at the breakfast Saturday morning, but I believe you can see all of them and hear all of them coming up September 2nd. What's that, Saturday? And this is going to be at 409 Washington Street at a group called POSE, Power of Self-Education, so one of the key players in the Mount Washington Alliance. So you can hear the candidates running for Essex County Sheriff from 6 to 8 p.m., 6 to 8 p.m. Saturday, September 2nd at POSE headquarters, 409 Washington Street, here in Haverhill. Now, we all know why this is a big race. Current Sheriff Frank Cousins from Newburyport has decided not to seek re-election, going to retire, and of course all of these candidates seeking to take his place. So I thought that was interesting. But it is time for the news. This is WHAV LP Haverhill. We're going to go. Well, Chris doesn't want me to go to news. And this is an odd change. He wants me to stall. Why is that? Well, we have a birthday call. So let's work in the birthday call before we go to news. You are on the Open Mic Show.
Hi, Tim.
Hi there. How are you?
Pretty good. How you doing? I got 3 birthdays.
How many?
I got 3 birthdays.
3
One is
birthdays.
Stephen.
Chris has all the information?
Yes.
All right. So let's give out the names and wish them happy birthday.
Steve.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah.
Who else?
And Kevin.
Kevin. One more?
Yeah, Ronnie.
Steve, Kevin, Ronnie. Happy birthday. All right, so those names are going into the hat. Thank you very much for your nomination. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
So, those of you who want to also get involved in the birthday or anniversary cake contest, September birthdays or anniversaries, call 978-374-1900. Now we're going to go to news. We'll come back and we're going to be meeting with Domenic Messina and Jack Roy from the 93rd Annual Feast of the Three Saints. We'll be right back.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:02.
WHAV LP Haverhill. WHAV is a nonprofit community service of Public Media of New England, Incorporated.
Here's what's happening in local news. Haverhill Superintendent of Schools James F. Scully calls his selection of new Assistant Superintendent Jared Fulgoni, quote, one of the strongest recommendations that I have made. As WHAV first reported Friday, the Haverhill School Committee approved Scully's recommendation Thursday to promote Fulgoni, former Hunking School principal, and most recently the district's Director of Strategy and Accountability. He replaces former Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Julie R. Kuchenberger, who left in June. In a letter to school department staff Friday, Scully said Fulgoni has worked with him in several capacities and, quote, has always been dignified and a very knowledgeable member of the leadership team. Quote, I have made numerous appointments during the many years I have been involved with public education. My recommendation of Mr. Fulgoni to the Haverhill School Committee was one of the strongest recommendations that I have made in all this time. Not only is he capable, but his interests mirror the interests that you and I share to continue providing the children in Haverhill with the best education and available avenues to reach their dreams, Scully said. Fulgoni joined Haverhill Public Schools as Hunking principal in July 2012. Prior to that, he was principal since 2007 at Triton Regional Middle School, Byfield. He He is also a member of the Hunking School Building Committee and the panel's decision-making authority for the up to $61.5 million new Hunking construction project. He was promoted to the central office by Scully in August 2015 as Director of Strategy and Accountability. Haverhill schools reopened for classes Tuesday. In community notes, Haverhill Public Library screens The Misfits, co-starring Clark Gable and Marilyn Monroe, Tuesday morning. The 1961 film also stars Montgomery Clift and is the final in a series of library screenings of Clift movies. The movie begins at 10 a.m. at the Haverhill Public Library. There is more information at haverhillpl.org or by calling 978-373-1586. 3 New Hampshire residents were arrested by Haverhill police early Sunday on drug possession charges. Jeffrey Tenney, 27, of Manchester, Dennis Vaughn, 60, of Laconia, and Constance Lowell, 43, of Bristol, were arrested between 12:02 and 12:37 a.m. at 35 Plastow Road. Each was charged with possession of a Class A drug. Tenney had outstanding warrants related to possession of a Class A drug, being present where heroin is kept, conspiracy to violate drug laws, and driving with a suspended license. Lowell also had an outstanding warrant related to possession of a Class A drug and conspiracy to violate drug laws. All 3 are due to be arraigned in Haverhill District Court. In other police news, a Haverhill man heads to court after his arrest on theft and weapons charges. Ephraim Gonzalez, 20, of 123 Cogswell Street, Haverhill, was arrested Sunday at 1:29 a.m. on Dartmouth Street. He was charged with breaking and entering, larceny from a motor vehicle, carrying a dangerous weapon, unlicensed possession of ammunition, and underage possession of liquor. A Haverhill man arrested Saturday on a shoplifting charge is due to appear in court. Sean DeFeo, 48, of 642 Washington Street, Haverhill, was arrested Saturday at 10:11 a.m. at Westgate Shopping Plaza, 400 Lowell Avenue. In addition to shoplifting, he was also charged as a fugitive from justice. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmail.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Harry Horton. US actor Gene Wilder has died at the age of 83, his family confirmed. The actor was best known for his role in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He also starred in films such as Blazing Saddles, The Producers, and Young Frankenstein. Our US correspondent Priscilla Huff reports.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Gene Wilder's comedy was pure imagination, from Willy Wonka to Blazing Saddles to Young Frankenstein. He was fearless in finding the fun. His characters were neurotic, eccentric, and sometimes just a little bit mad. His nephew says the star died from complications of Alzheimer's. His friends describe him as the least shticky, that is, deliberately funny man they knew who could be oh so funny. Priscilla Huff, Washington.
Portugal's former Prime Minister Antonio Guterres has topped the 3rd straw poll to decide the next United Nations Secretary-General. The 15 members of the Security Council have expressed their opinions of the 10 candidates as they try to whittle down the challenges. Nick Harper reports from New York.
There was no change at the top for this, the 3rd straw poll. Former Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Guterres, again leading the 10 candidates as they all try to jockey for positions. At a time when the world is facing the worst refugee crisis since the end of the Second World War, it seems countries are favouring the former High Commissioner for Refugees, seeing him as the next potential leader to take over when Ban Ki-moon steps down at the end of this year. Slovakia's Deputy Prime Minister, Miroslav Lajčák, has jumped to 2nd, with the head of UNESCO and Serbia's former Foreign Minister coming in 3rd. Once seen as a potential safe pair of hands, New Zealand's former Prime Minister Helen Clark is still in the race in 7th. Some candidates may now feel it's time to withdraw, but there's no limit to the number of rounds or straw polls that can take place. Nick Harper, New York.
The United States has met its goal of admitting 10,000 Syrian refugees 1 month ahead of schedule. The Obama administration had pledged to admit 10,000 displaced Syrians during the current fiscal year. From Washington, Rebecca Foster reports.
The 10,000th Syrian refugee arrived in the United States on Monday afternoon, a key part of President Obama's humanitarian efforts in Syria and the region. The admission of refugees has become a hot topic in the U.S. presidential race. Republican nominee Donald Trump has warned Syrians entering the U.S. could be a great Trojan horse. More than 4.8 million Syrians have fled their country during the 5-year civil war, but just 2% of them have arrived in the U.S.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather.
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best with wave weather for the Merrimack Valley. Generally clear skies for the night. Low temperature upper 50s to low 60s. Mostly sunny, a beautiful day coming up on Tuesday. Temperatures near or just a bit over 80, low humidity. At night, fair weather in the low 60s. And then partly sunny and more humid on Wednesday, upper 80s. Chance of a late day shower or thunderstorm. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather coming up in 30 minutes.
If you want to know what's going on at WHAV, sign up for the free monthly Wavelengths newsletter online at WHAV.net. Stay informed each day with local news, coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. WHAV LP Haverhill, the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco at whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show, a 50-year staple of democracy in the Merrimack Valley. Guest right now to my left is Jack Roy, who's been here before. Domenic Messina is the former president of the St. Alfio Society. I had an uncle named Alfio.
You did?
Yes.
Was he from Sicily?
Yes. Actually, our branch was from Sicily.
So he probably was named after St. Alfio.
I'm assuming he was.
There's not a lot of Alfios out there.
We called him Fred for some reason.
That's right.
So, but anyway.
Well, Alfred's like a spinoff on Alfio. Just drop the O and add the ED, really.
Yeah, well, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So the 93rd annual Feast of the Three Saints takes place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yes.
And this is pretty exciting because I have not been able to think of anything but Crispelli's for a few days. So, but there's much more to it than that, and we're going to learn more about that. First, Domenic, why don't you tell us about your involvement? How long have you been involved in St. Alfio Society, and when were you the president?
I've been involved since 1986. I was the president in 06 and 07 for 2 years. In 86, I joined. The organization had about 56 members then. And through the years, I was one of the younger guys there in 86. I'm no longer in that state. But through the years, we were able to sort of continue to build spirit with the event, causing a great influx of members, family members of members, members who were originally from Common Street and Union Street. So we're up to, I think, somewhere in the vicinity of 170.
Yeah.
We have about 170 members. I would say about 20 of them are over 60, and the rest of the between the ages of 30 and 60.
All right. Now, we have a contest right now. I'm trying to get some attention here. Friends, if you can name, Chris, can you put up a photograph of the three saints? I took it off your website. Put up a photograph of the three saints. Don't use the magnifying glasses. I think the names are actually under there. But put the photograph up. If you can name the three saints, first person to do so will win 2 free passes, not only to Whittier Birthplace in Haverhill, but to the Whittier Home Museum in Amesbury. 2 free passes. Just call 978-374-1900. Name the three saints, the first one, and you can win these passes. Now, there's a rather lengthy history of the Feast of the Three Saints on the website, but I found it fascinating because I found an Antonio Coco, and I wondered, this was in 1921, could be a family member, I'm not sure. And of course, I was talking to Blaise Coco one day, and we couldn't identify any relatives in common, but we suspect they simply were on separate ships out of Sicily around that time.
He came over, his family's early. How early is your family?
Well, actually, on the Italian side of my family was probably the teens or 1920s. My mother's side of the family, they're always. My mother was always in a rush. They came over in 1621
Really?
in the Pilgrim's relief ship, the Fortune, the
Really?
Mayflower's relief ship. So yeah, that side. But I get the Coco name, so that's how it works. But in any event. Domenic, can you give us a little bit of a history of the
story
of the St. Alfio Society? Because frankly, as I was reading this, I learned things I had never known. There were 2 societies even at one point.
Well, just to try to make it short, so I don't take all the time. Basically, what happened was these 3 saints were martyred in Sicily, and they were from Upper Italy. They're actually from a place called Puglia, and when they went down to Sicily, they were martyred in Sicily, and some of the towns that they walked to adopted them back in the 13th century. Now, they were martyred in 253, so the story was always told.
My mother, okay.
The story was always told, these saints existed until back in the 13th century. They found the bodies of the 3 saints in a Benedictine castle in a town called it's called San Fratello now, which means Holy Brother, tied to the fact that these 3 boys were brother. It's a very unique story because 3 boys were martyred together and they were brothers. It's uncommon, like Cosmos and Damien were brothers. There's not a lot of brother saints. Then what happened was from the 1500s all the way up until late 1800s, the devotion to the 3 saints in Sicily kept growing. And then during some times when Sicily was having trouble, pre-World War I and after World War I, during Mussolini's time, immigration occurred into the United States. So the immigrants from the town of Tre Castagni, which means 3 chaste lambs. Some people think it means 3 chestnuts, but it actually means 3 chaste lambs. Tre casti, which means chaste. Anni is a lamb, and the Sicilian word for a lamb, Italian word. Those immigrants came to Lawrence between late 1800s, and in 1921, they needed. They created a little Social Security network of their own. That's
what I read. It was exciting.
Yeah, with the names of the 3 saints. So it was called the Società of Mutual Soccorso, of mutual benefit, like us 3 pulling our money, putting it in a bucket, and saying, "Tim,
He'll take more than his share."
Yeah, Tim, when you're sick and you can't buy the bread, we give you $2. That's really what was behind it, and then that evolved into us becoming a charitable organization and continuing to. They brought the saints over, the statues, and having the tradition of honoring them in a very similar way as they do in Tre Castagni on May 10th. Their feast is a month long, but the big days are May 7th through May 11th. But May 10th is the big day, and May 9th is the big night, where they obviously shoot a lot of fireworks, a lot of great music, a lot of great food. But we're talking about an event that draws hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people for the 3 days around the big days. Now, of course, our event probably draws anywhere from 30 to 60,000, depending on the weather. So, but we continue to do things very similar to the way they do it there. Take out the saints, bring them in procession, shoot confetti over them as if they were heroes, shoot aerial bombs, again, as if they were heroes. Obviously, we have a high mass at 10 o'clock on Sunday. But again, it's a combination of our Catholicism and our ethnic background mixed together in one event.
Wonderful. And Jack, you've been involved for some time too, is that right?
Yes, since 1998. But I attended the feast when I was a kid because my family grew up in the vicinity of that neighborhood, and that was a staple. I believe my grandmother probably went to the first feast way back when. But it's truly an amazing story when you read about the 3 brothers being from an aristocratic family and being taken by the Romans and tortured because they wouldn't renounce their Christian faith. It's truly mind-boggling when you read the whole story. And also the other thing we found out many years ago is some gentleman called us and said he had a poster on his wall that was in Italian about some festival in Lawrence in 1911.
Really?
And that was the year before the Bread and Roses strike.
Wow.
So at one point there was also another Italian festival
I think in 1911 may have been the first feast of the 3 saints.
Right.
It was over at the what's it called? The Hayden
Hayden Schofield, the place did.
That's where the event was held, and there was fireworks, in fact, on the poster.
Really?
And then I think some years occurred, well...
They had the Bread and Roses strike the year after, so that
and then they didn't really get organized until like
strike.
1923. But remember, you get a lot of Sicilian people from those towns piling into Lawrence to work in the mills.
Yeah.
So their population was going up, and then they decided we need to help ourselves out. There were other organizations similar to St. Alfio. There were other Sicilian Italian organizations that did similar mutual soccorso things. They were right in the Common Street area.
Yes.
St. Joseph had their own.
Yes.
You know, those have all they're gone now. All of them are gone.
Yeah.
My grandfather, we called him Santo. He got his start in the mills in Lawrence and lived the American dream, able to buy his own home in Methuen. And I guess that was, moving up. The next generation, my father came to Haverhill. So it's, they've been very dedicated. We're going to talk more about some of the events and a timetable, but we have to take a brief break, as Chris is reminding me, for this hour's Community Spotlight. We'll be back with more of the Open Mic Show in just a minute.
Open Mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
WHAV is the only FM station assigned to the city of Haverhill. The sooner you contribute at WHAV.net, the sooner WHAV signs on at 97.9 FM. Just look for the photograph of Tom Bergeron, honorary chairperson of WHAV's Make Waves campaign.
Catch the wave!
Suspense. A weekly anthology of notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented every Monday night to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense. Listen to the new Suspense with a company of Hollywood actors and surprising guest stars, Monday nights at 10, with encore performances at 1 a.m., right here on WHAV. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Community Spotlight!
This is Latreia Masters, Chairman of the Haverhill Cultural Council. Your Haverhill Cultural Council is granting dollars to dreamers, and now it's easier to apply. Starting September 1st, a new online application is available to those supporting the arts, humanities, and sciences in Haverhill. Grants range from $100 to $3,000 or more for your project, activity, program, or field trip. There's more at www.mass-culture.org/Haverhill or by calling 978-374-4500 extension 31 for more information. Your Haverhill Cultural Council is enriching Haverhill, one grant at a time.
Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news@WHAV.net. In the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, this is Diane Carr.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Name the three saints, and you can win 2 free passes to Whittier Birthplace in Haverhill and Whittier Home Museum in Amesbury. Just dial 978-374-1900. Our 2 judges are going to be here. Domenic Messina, former president of St. Alfio Society, and Jack Roy.
I want you to know, Jack hasn't I was saying, but he was the treasurer for at least 10 years.
9.
9 years.
9 years.
The treasurer.
Yes.
He got a T-shirt out of it.
Exactly.
A polo shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Only members get these.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So tell us what. Let's assume someone hasn't lived here for very long, or maybe they were too young to have gone, and now are of age, and they want to know. Tell us what someone could expect from the Feast of the Three Saints.
All right. Friday night we open the feast at 6 o'clock in front of Lawrence City Hall with the national anthem, the Italian national anthem, our national anthem, of course, and some minor fireworks. And then what we do as a society is we march with the bands the original route that the ancestors who founded this society marched through Lawrence, okay, which takes us, Common Street, Union Street, and all the way around. And then we come back to the church, and we light candles in front of the statues of the Three Saints as an organization.
Nice.
That's the opening. And then we have some entertainment, which is free. Everything's free. Free parking. You can park behind.
Rare? Free?
Yeah,
Isn't
free.
Rare, folks? Free.
Everything's free. And there's free parking, and we also have a shuttle service. You can park behind the mill there. There's tons of parking back there. It's free, and we have a shuttle service in. We have, on Friday night, on our main bandstand, we have Glenn is at Farone with his big band, okay? And then we have a secondary stage up near Tripoli's Bakery, which is the Tripoli stage, and it's called the Keep It Real Band at 8:30. Okay, that's our entertainment for Friday night. Of course, we have vendors up and down the street, okay, with food.
I think people love the vendors. I know I always did.
And this year, inside our cafe, on Saturday afternoon, first of all, at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, we have a cannoli eating contest sponsored by Tripoli Bakery. Right?
I've lost 15 pounds. You want me to put it all back, don't you?
Well, I'm just telling you. The feast opens on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. We have the third annual Feast of the Three Saints Run for Scholars. Okay, we call it the cannoli run because all the runners get a cannoli afterwards. That's a 5K at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's
I
how
believe.
They work off those calories.
Yeah. People can sign up to run. We open at noontime on the Tripoli stage. We have the Lawrence YMCA Music Club performing. Then we have the cannoli eating contest on the Tripoli stage. And then we have the Torchlight Parade that starts about 7:30. Okay? And you want to tell them what that signifies, the Torchlight Parade?
The Torchlight Parade, again, goes back to Sicily. 3 sections of the town in Sicily, they go to their respective area, and they come down to the center of the town in St. Castagna, right to the square. We do the same thing. We go to end of Newbury Street, the end of Common Street, and the corner of Union and Elm, and we all meet at the corner of Common and Newbury Street, where we do traditional cheers to the saints. Then we play the 3 hymns honoring the saints. All 3 bands perform. We have some fireworks at the very, very end of that as well. So it basically goes back to those traditions that the immigrants brought in the early part of the century.
Yes,
that's wonderful.
And Alfred, another member was telling me that the Torchlight Parade kind of signifies the saints as they were dragged, through various towns and villages in Sicily by the Romans.
Okay.
During that time. And then after the Torchlight Parade, on the Tripoli stage, we have the band Soul Income. And then at 9:15, we have a treat. We have the Leominster Colonial Band.
Leominster Colonial Band.
Absolutely phenomenal performance.
What kind of music is
that? Traditional. Traditional, some old tunes, some show tunes, things like that. And that's for Saturday. And then Sunday, we have our High Mass at 10 a.m. at Holy Rosary Church in the morning. The feast opens at 12. And then at 3 o'clock, we have the Corpus Christi Holy Rosary Church, the procession. The saints come out of the church at 3 o'clock, and they have a procession of the saints through the streets of Lawrence in the Italian neighborhood in the old-fashioned route that they took, starting back in the in the 1920s. And at 4 o'clock on the Tripoli stage, we have the Mystics. And then at 7 o'clock, the Saints on the Vada will pull up into the area of the Society building. And we have what we call the Moment in Glory, which is then I'm going to turn over to him because this is what he does every year.
Oh, good.
So the Moment of Glory is basically our rendition of the saints going to heaven. So we give them, we say the prayer to the three saints. We teach people how to cheer at that event. They play the three hymns, and then we, again, back to traditions, we send up about 1,000 balloons, pigeons and doves. Lots of confetti is shot over the crowd and over the three saints. Some aerial bombs as well. And again, we're signifying the fact that we're accepting the fact that through all of this hardship of martyrdom, the great thing about it is they went to heaven, and our opportunities to do the same through our lives. So, I mean, it's sort of a connection to both the reality of what we're living in now and the spirituality of the event.
It's wonderful that you kept those traditions. Speaking of traditions, I'm curious. Both of you remember your first time, and how old were you?
Well, I haven't missed, so it's 55.
Really? All right.
I mean, the first time I remember was not good. I was not a fan of fireworks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
you were
back
young,
back in the 70s, when there's still rules in Lawrence, but the Italian community had some weight. They shot a lot of fireworks in Lawrence to the point where they were shooting 3-inch aerial bombs on city street corners. They also used to shoot parachutes. So there was a whole teams of men would get together in the neighborhood to try to get a parachute. Literally, it was an aerial bomb with a parachute in it. When it exploded, parachute open, and you'd run because the wind would take it. Yeah. You'd end up near the Spigot River. You'd end up near the hospital. So it was like a mad rush to get a parachute. But anyways, those are the beginning years for me were, please put me in a corner and hide me because I hated the noise. Now I'm a fanatic about fireworks.
Right. Oh, isn't that great? Well, so Jack, now you...
Yeah, well, I grew up there, like Domenic. So I was there since the beginning, as well. Since I was born, we always went to the feast, and it became a family tradition, that the families met. And it's very interesting when you talk about tradition. Families still, to this day, follow the tradition of their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, and they meet in the same spot that they met maybe when they were kids.
Oh, isn't that great?
Okay, yeah, it is, yeah. And, we always change things up. We try to change things up. Like this year, we're having an artisan area inside our cafe with a wine tasting. And we're also having some cooking demonstrations, and we're going to have the company out of Amesbury. Do you remember the name of that company out of Amesbury that they make cheese?
It's not listed specifically.
Yeah, it's not listed specifically.
Wood something farm. I don't know the name.
Yeah, it's out of Amesbury.
Oh, really?
And they're going to do a demonstration on how to make mozzarella
really?
Some various cheeses. Yes, it's going to be interesting.
I'm getting hungry. Did you bring samples?
There's a bread-making demonstration, sausage-making, Peter Messina, the Crispelli man.
Yeah.
There's a bread-making demonstration by Tripoli.
I
wish I knew the name of the cheese demonstration, but they're going to be there as well.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a wine distributor coming in to do some wine tasting.
Yes.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, my father always made sure we visited all the vendors. So, I don't really remember the fireworks in my first few times there. It was all about, my father's big thing was fresh corn on the cob, Crispellis. And usually Italian baked goods.
Yeah.
I mean, we left there pretty overstuffed.
Well, that's the name of the game. I mean,
the sad thing about the Crispellis is that Peter Messina, who's a very good friend of mine, he's like a brother to me. They're right on the edge of retirement, so they actually are not open for the feast anymore. They're open all during the year, but the feast is such a rush for them that it's hard for them to get the help.
Hard to keep up with that, I see.
So they were open last week, and they'll be open next weekend, but they can't handle the amount of work that the 3 days makes.
So chances are the Crispellis I had came from there then.
They came from the Italian kitchen.
Oh yes.
Oh okay.
Yes,
they've been around for probably 60 years. So they're on the edge of retirement. So
the first time I had an anchovy, didn't know it. My father, explained, it's a fish, eat it. So
That's funny.
Isn't that great?
Yes, it is.
So, any other highlights? Any special mentions you want to make? You can mention your sponsors.
I just
Probably too
suggest,
many to
I
mention.
think that everyone.
Well, we got, I mean, we're very fortunate. We really are. As you can see, you're in this book, okay? And thank you very much to
thank you very much.
Tim and WHAV because he was kind enough to help us out this year. See that right
Isn't
there?
that great?
There's Tim right there.
Isn't that great, folks? Yeah.
No, the Clada,
Show the ad.
Market Basket, Holy Family Hospital, Jackson Lumber, Tripoli Bakery,
Thank you.
Tuscan Kitchen up
yeah.
in Salem, New Hampshire.
Tuscan
Those are
Kitchen.
some of our major sponsors. But we, if you can see this book, we give out this
Pasta
book
Eagle.
during the week. It's an opportunity to get the history of our organization, see our sponsors. There's some great pages in here about the histories of the saints, history about the organization. Even the prayer to the three saints is in here. It's a great book
Yes.
to take home as a souvenir.
It is,
Get it
yes.
down there during the
I'm
weekend.
very impressed by the size of that book.
Well, it's
got
also
everything
it's
in
kind of like we get local again a lot of like the North End Deli. I mean he's right
Yeah.
there. So he puts up a stand with his sausages and his rice balls and all his Italian delicacies, so to speak. And then we also have a pastry area inside the cafe that we run ourselves, where you can get. You can get coffee, cappuccino, you can get lobster tails, you can get cannolis, you can get a bunch of different
Folks,
things.
I have to leave now. I'm hungry.
But,
I am looking forward to this.
Yeah.
This is
Thank you.
wonderful. So let's go over the big information. 93rd Annual Feast of the Three Saints,
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Begins Friday night at what time?
6 in front of Lawrence City Hall.
6 in front of Lawrence City Hall. And then there are events they're listed on your website, is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
So that is what? Feast of
Three Saints Inc. You can just go to Three Saints
Three
Inc.
Saints Inc.
That's it. When you
Yeah.
Google that, it'll come up.
And so that sounds like a wonderful time. It's certainly nice to have you. I am going to look this up. Antonio Coco. It was an incorporator in 1921. I wonder.
Definitely, probably from Tre Castagni.
We can check our records too, because we still have some of those
Yeah, we
records.
do.
We found some yesterday, as a matter of fact. It was funny how we found them. Some of this stuff just pops up.
Isn't that interesting? Because
Yes.
I don't know the exact year they came. It might have been earlier than I know. But we had, so there were 8 brothers and 2 sisters in the family.
Wow.
And now we have hundreds of cousins and relatives, and so it's hard
So
to...
many Cocos in the Merrimack Valley.
So
Even in North Andover, you got a big clan.
Oh yeah, so I think probably we're all related one way or another. My if it helps, my grandfather came first, then sent from my grandmother, which I guess was pretty common.
Yes, it was.
He came on the ship Irene. We do know that, so I must know the date
Interesting.
somewhere. on
That's
the
it. Did he
ship.
come to Ellis Island or Boston?
Ellis Island, I
There you
believe.
go. A lot came in through
These
Boston.
people are probably Tre Castagneses. If you ever went, I've been there a lot. If you ever went to the cemetery, it basically is a spitting image of the Lawrence Cemetery because the names are all the same. Jufridas, Cocos, Messinas. They're all the same people from the same region. It's very interesting.
And I imagine there'll be a contingent from some of the Italian groups here in Haverhill. I know that Mayor Fiorentini is very proud of his Italian heritage. So, Mayor, I expect to see you there too. You can buy.
We have seen him there. Yes, he
And
has.
the Sons of Italy,
he has
Brahma
been
Bugle
there.
Corps from here. Well, they participate.
Oh, that's great.
Every
The
year.
Sons of It. Actually,
Yes.
I understand from the organization that they are the last to have a drum and bugle
Yes.
corps.
Oh, I believe that.
Yes.
And they're a wonderful, wonderful group. Larry Cannavale's been on this program. He presented me. The mayor got the first Sons of Italy award. I got the second. So
That's great.
having
Yeah, we have three.
last name ending in a vowel is not a bad thing.
We use three. We use 3 bands. Believe it or
Saturday
not,
night,
over
yeah.
the weekend on Saturday night especially. We have the Italian American band. That's out of Methuen. That's Steve's band, right? And then we have the St. Alfio band
Yeah.
too as well, which
one
we
we
utilize.
sponsored,
So.
All right. Any last words to encourage participation?
No, just come down. Listen, it's a family event. We see sometimes you come down, you see people you haven't seen in quite a while. That's why a lot of people come down. Saturday night, Friday night, Sunday afternoon when the saints are
That's
out in
a key day
procession.
is Sunday for us.
Sunday
because
afternoon.
It really shows the history of the ethnic traditions of the Sicilian people here in Lawrence.
Looking forward to it. So, folks, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Information at Three Saints Inc.
Yes.
Yep.
And you can participate. Don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Always is. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thanks,
Domenic Messina, Jack Roy. Great pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Love to support this. We're going to take a break now for local weather with local meteorologists right here in the Merrimack Valley, exclusively on WHAV. We'll be right back.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 7:40.
Those Boston stations don't always understand weather in the Merrimack Valley. Stay informed with WAVE weather every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day on Soft Gold WHAV.
Catch the wave!
On the next Making Contact.
The choice is, do I let my child starve? Or do I pick out this waste, sell it, and that day I make money to buy food to put on the table.
Millions around the world face the reality of having to figure out a way to survive when there's no formal employment opportunities available.
At the crossing, we go through carrying the goods on our backs. Then we walk through a big gate to reach the Moroccan border, up on a hill, and there we put the goods down and take our fee.
From the U.S. to India to Morocco, we meet people going to extreme lengths to make ends meet. What pushes people into this often invisible work? And how can you improve working conditions for jobs that aren't even considered jobs?
Making Contact is heard every Wednesday night at 6:30. Remember, only local radio can bring you such compelling features, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best. With wave weather for the Merrimack Valley, generally clear skies for the night. Low temperature, upper 50s to low 60s. Mostly sunny, a beautiful day coming up on Tuesday. Temperatures near or just a bit over 80, low humidity. At night, fair weather in the low 60s. And then partly sunny and more humid on Wednesday, upper 80s. Chance of a late day shower or thunderstorm. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather coming up in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin B. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
And welcome back to the Open Mic Show. What a wonderful trip down memory lane, discussing the Feast of the Three Saints with Domenic Messina, former president of St. Alfio Society, and Jack Roy right here. Pardon all the gushing over the ceremony, but it's wonderful. Let me adjust our camera. Let's see if that's any better. Now I'm underground here. All right. So Chris will adjust it if I get it wrong. Okay. This is when you're radio show host and your cameraman at the same time. All right, Chris, if you want to adjust that at some point, or maybe I can figure it out. Let's do that. People on radio, you have no idea what we're talking about. That's fine. Speaking of radio, WHAV FM 97.9, just a couple weeks off at this point as we enter into September and get ready for the fall. All right, all kinds of things. We have until about a half hour to get in birthday and anniversary wishes for a chance to win a free 7-inch cake, choice of chocolate or vanilla from Saint. all BDs, and I'm not saying all BDs, I got that on my mind from St. Alfio. All BDs, second generation Italian bakery. How appropriate to have them providing the birthday cake and anniversary cakes now. Let's go to the phones. We have a familiar name, Jerry from Methuen, on the line.
Buongiorno, come si zona?
Ah, yeah. See, when you grow up in the valley, you can't help that, right?
I know, you'd have to know that. I've been to that feast so many times.
I knew you had
the
been.
last time I went, Mr. Di Fiore, the cardinal came,
really?
and he was standing there, and all the dignitaries were around him, including Mr. Di Fiore, the former DPW director from Methuen, and I guess he had a similar job in Massachusetts, in Lawrence. But the three saints are Alfio, Filadelfo, and Cirino.
All right, very good, very good. So you get 2 free passes.
Did I say it good though?
Well, I think the second one. Try that again.
Yeah, Philadelphia. It sounds too much like Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
But the first one is Alfio, and the last one is Cirino.
Yeah, right. You've got that one down. You got all 3. So
my
Jerry
brother lives. He was in NATO, and he ended up in Italy. After the war, he stayed there with his wife. She was Italian, and they bought a 40-acre farm in the mountains of Vincenzi, which is up near the Swiss Alps. I think he bought it because he likes skiing. You know, in fact, he's probably probably still skiing. But for crops every year, he grows grapes and olives, and he has workmen that help him, and he pays them. And at crop time, when they start picking the olives and picking the grapes, they take a portion of the vegetables, if you want to call them, and he does, and they sell them for him and give him a portion of the proceeds. And the guy that takes the grapes, he makes 125, 200 bottles of wine, and my brother gets a goodly portion of them.
Oh, isn't that great?
Yeah,
Isn't
in
that
Vincenzi.
great?
So if you're ever there, if you ever go there, you know, you got to call him. You call him. I'll talk to you about it further.
Oh, no, wonderful. Thank you, Jerry. Wonderful.
But the thing is that one of the questions, environmental questions, is what do you think of the consent decree? Well, it was coming, Tim, because it was around for about 4 or 5 years anyway. Every community that I know of, that I've had contact with on the Merrimack River, except the ones in New Hampshire, all of them had signed consent decrees, starting with Haverhill, Lawrence, Methuen. I don't know whether Shawsheen did.
Jerry,
Roll.
for the benefit of our listeners, can you explain to them what the issue is with combined sewer overflows? Because that's what Haverhill's problem is.
Well, years ago, these sewers, supposedly sewers, were combined. In other words, they leaked an awful lot, and then storm water was combined into the sewage. So the pipes are set at a certain elevation where they have what's called a weir. It's a little dam built in the side of the pipe.
Okay.
And when it gets to that particular elevation in that pipe, you know, and they could be really big pipes, it goes over the weir into the nearest brook or whatever, pond or whatever. So those consent decrees were signed by every city along the Merrimack River, just about all the major cities. Not that Andover and North Andover aren't minor, but I don't recall any that they had. In fact, I have a copy of that report. And I guess this Mr. Spalding, who just took over as Region 1 Administrator, is big on enforcement. He was with, he's from Rhode Island.
Okay.
And he was deeply involved in Save the Bay. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, well, he was on the board of trustees, and I guess he was president. So when he took over in Boston, Region 1, he must have dusted off these consent decrees and said, it's time, even though communities are hard up for cash, he must have said, it's time, and maybe he's right. But I think that he should have started in New Hampshire, where we really know that there are really some serious combined through overflows. In fact, I think it was Nashua or one of those communities up there had a year or two or so ago had a direct discharge of sewage to the Merrimack.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Not to mention what Hooksett that dumped a bunch of plastic into the river, right?
Pardon?
Not to mention Hooksett, which dropped a bunch of plastic.
That was the one. That was the one.
Okay, Hooksett. Okay.
Hooksett. I think they were the one. Tim,
Right.
You're so sharp.
Well,
It's your Italian ancestry, I'm pretty
oh,
sure.
is that it? Well, thank you so much, Jerry. That's very kind
Yeah.
of you. Well, but I believe, and I could be, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you go back to your DEP when it happened. Wasn't the last major project to separate our sewer systems the Alpha Street Interceptor in Haverhill?
I don't know much about that, but I do know the Greater Lawrence Sanitary District. What they did, they have a separate system which is it's like a tower, and basically during high flow combined through overflow episodes, which is a mixture. What comes to the plant is a mixture of storm water and sewage. They put it through this tower, which is a centrifugal force, and in other words, it removes all the solids.
Right.
And they are then treated, and the elutriant, which is the liquid, is superchlorinated and discharged to the Merrimack River. Of course, with this drought situation, we haven't had any problems with that, and combined through overflows are. I don't think we've had one this summer.
Oh, right, you're right. Well, anyway, so folks, so what Jerry's referring to is that a consent decree came down the federal government.
Basically what it is, it's rather than go to court, they settle out of court prior to the date of the court, and generally the cities and towns have to hire a consultant attorney because this is not somebody who can negotiate.
Now,
because I think what happened in Haverhill's case was that a portion of the fine they were forgiven as long as they did something in that particular area of eliminating these sources of pollution.
Well, in addition to that, Jerry, back in January, WHAV reported, we did not know at the time there would be a fine, but we did report in January that the city had agreed to certain projects, such as some riverside cleanup work and that kind of thing. We did not.
And also leaking systems.
Yeah, we did not know until last week
that there
was a fine.
You can't tie into the sewage in Draco and Lowell. There's just about nothing you can do. In other words, if you wanted to put in a development in Lowell, you couldn't do it because they know their capacity. They can't exceed the capacity of waste that they receive.
I see.
That's part of the EPA edict.
Oh, interesting
the consent
issue.
Decree.
Well, Jerry, I'm afraid we have to take a break, but anything else on your mind quickly?
Yes, I'm really mad at the state of New Hampshire for being so stingy with their water.
Okay, this is Lake Winnipesaukee. They're keeping it all for the boating and as our river runs dry.
Winnipesaukee has 600 billion gallons of water behind their dam, and the only water that's coming over the dam at Lake Winnipesaukee is a leakage through the flashboards. The same goes for Winnisquam. Same goes for Silver Lake. Do you know what the demand in Haverhill is? I don't have it on my tip of my tongue, but the average day demand for water in Methuen is 5.6 to 6 million gallons.
Yeah, I believe Haverhill is 7 million gallons.
Okay. Do you know what Nashua's is?
No.
20 million gallons per day.
Well, how is that possible?
because they get water, they get water and more water. You would have a lot of water if you put a dam up, right?
Oh, I guess that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. And they think that the Merrimack ends at the borderline of New Hampshire in Massachusetts.
No, it's amazing.
They don't realize that Massachusetts owns 40% of the riparian ownership rights to water. There are states like Wyoming and Carolina have gone to court over this, and the appellant in the case of Wyoming on the Laramie River, if you want to get it, the judge in the end said, the judge decreed in the federal court, there is no more important use of the water than for drinking water, and Wyoming won the case.
No, good point. Good point. Well, maybe there'll end up being some kind of interstate war here.
I called the governor today. I pleaded with his assistant to put it on the agenda of the next Massachusetts Water Resource Commission meeting. It's sometime this early September. I asked to put it on the on the agenda. You know that for years and years and years we tried to get New Hampshire to the table, to no avail, really.
Okay.
They're happy with what they got, and it's time. We have to have somebody to carry the banner, though, Tim. Do you think you want to be the point person, the lead man, or what?
Oh, I don't know. I might get in trouble. But, yeah, why not? I think it's a good idea. So I agree with you, Jerry. Let me know how I can help.
We're entitled to some of that water.
We do. We need
and
that.
It makes me angry when I think of what's happening. Everybody at Winnipesaukee is enjoying themselves boating and fishing and water skiing, while down here our farms and lawns and fields are getting parched, and the river, when the river's like this, they won't assimilate treated waste even, because the dissolved oxygen is so low.
It's too low.
And the temperature's so high.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. Well, Jerry,
right.
I'm afraid I have to go to this spot that we promised, but thank you very much, as always.
And I'll get in touch with you again this week.
All right, I left you a message. I'm sorry I missed you so many times.
I did. I read it, yes.
All right, sorry about that.
I'll take care of it as soon as I can.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much,
Hey,
Jerry.
we were in good hands tonight.
Yes, we were.
Well, I'm talking about where we went for supper.
Oh,
it was right in line with your discussion on the Three Saints.
Oh, where was that?
The Roma restaurant.
The Roma here in Haverhill. Okay.
Oh, it was good.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much,
was good.
Jerry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Take care.
But thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go to a movie review for this hour, and then we'll be right back for some. Maybe we'll work in a birthday request. So we'll be right back.
Open mic.
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
This is Pacifica Radio for the Merrimack Valley, WHAV.
Open mic.
Every Monday night, the Open Mic Show brings interesting guests into your homes, presents your take on current events, and dabbles in little-known local history. I'm Tim Coco, your host, inviting you to join the chorus of community voices beginning at 6:30 Monday nights right here on WHAV. You may also watch this 50-year staple of democracy live at WHAV.tv and Haverhill Community Television, Channel 22. The Open Mic Show was brought to you by Northern Essex Community College, the Merrimack Valley Economic Development Council, and WHAV members. Remember, only local radio can bring you this talk opportunity, but only WHAV does.
This is Take Two Movie Review. I'm Kim Lowe. This week, Florence and the Machine. America has had some odd celebrities over the years. Usually when a person is known for their singing, it's because they are good at it or it's popular with a lot of people. However, some people have become known for their singing because it is bad. Not just run-of-the-mill bad, but very, very bad. Florence Foster Jenkins was one such person. Indeed, in 1944, before there was such a thing as American Idol and its infamous rejects, there was Jenkins, a middle-aged New York City socialite who became somewhat of a phenomenon when a self-made record of her singing got into the hands of a radio DJ and was subsequently played on the air. However, this notoriety resulted in a packed Carnegie Hall concert. The only thing more amazing than this was that Florence's bad singing was known to everyone except Florence herself. Indeed, one of the most enjoyable facets of Stephen Frere's new movie, Florence Foster Jenkins, is how everyone is in on the joke but Florence. However, the more we learn about Florence, it is impossible not to like her and even feel bad for the ridicule we know she will face when she gives the concert. While Florence may have been lucky enough to have been born wealthy, her life had been neither easy or without its share of heartbreak. The actress portraying this seemingly silly, superficial character is none other than Meryl Streep. Playing beside her is Hugh Grant in a surprisingly touching role as her British husband. Simon Helberg is wonderful as her tight-lipped pianist. While Florence may not have been a good singer, there is no doubt she sang from her heart, and even the most cynical viewers will have a hard time not opening their hearts to Florence Foster Jenkins. This has been Take Two Movie Review. I'm Kim Lowe. Catch up with us at TakeTwoMovieReview.com and feed us back on our page on YouTube.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Let's get in the habit. WHAV LP, Haverhill. Coming in just a couple of weeks now, very, very close. Only thing we're waiting for is the tower climbers and make sure we don't have a rainy or thundery day, lightning day, or heavy wind. And the new WHAV FM 97.9 will commence broadcasting from Silver Hill. Let's work in. We're a little bit late. We're going to work in Brian, who's going to join us now. Brian, you're on the air.
I'm here.
All right, what's up?
I'm not going to climb that tower.
What's that?
I don't care what you make me do. I'm not going to climb that tower.
Well, you know, it was because we have some rules here. Chris found them in the archives that in order to keep winning birthday cakes, the person nominating, has to climb the tower at least halfway.
Oh boy. We'll just kind of see what happens.
All right. Well, we'll work it out, Brian. Don't worry. I'll give you a boost.
Tie up the line so no more birthday.
Oh, is that what it is?
I wouldn't do that.
No, you wouldn't. So what do you have now?
3 entries in, and so we'll see. You know, it'll be Kelly or...
Oh, you have 3 entries in.
I have 3 entries in.
Okay. All right, and you have...
Kelly, Diana, and... one more.
Chris, which one else? Chris has them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Effie.
Effie, right, of course, Aunt Effie. That's what I was saying. Yeah, you said, right?
Yeah.
Hey, my memory's not as bad as I thought.
Not bad, no.
All right, so any more?
Well, no more.
All right.
Enough. We'll see what happens. Your last birthday requester put in 3 herself, so...
Oh, right. So we, that's right.
We shall see.
All right, so we'll do
I thought that the content of the St. Alfio, the 3 saints celebration, I never would have guessed on those 3 saints. I know nothing. Nothing.
What would a Langlois know about Italian saints? No.
Well, I was in the Sons of Italy Bugle Corps.
You were?
Yep, 1965, 66. Back in those days, there were a lot of us that weren't Italian that were in there.
Who would have thunk it? I'm just kidding, Brian, but that's great. So lots of connections.
I remember marching in the North End,
Really?
People were dancing in the streets.
We're going to have some folks here from the Drum and Bugle Corps, because I do believe it's the last one, and that's pretty great. The last one is a marching band.
Back in my day, Carmen LaConte
I remember Carmen.
was in charge, and we had Mr. Di Bartolomeo.
I remember.
He had a title, but
I remember D-Bart too. That's what we called them, D-Bart, right?
D-Bart, that's right.
That's right.
Well, consider the accent D-Bart.
All right, I see what you're saying.
We had Sal Amari. Yeah.
Runs a great operation on Canosa Avenue, absolutely. Okay, well, we're going to have a little reunion.
You're thinking of,
Oh, his son.
well, maybe distant cousin.
Oh, really? Okay.
Something, yeah.
Oh, all right. So I need a primer on that. Thank you so much, Brian.
Whatever happened with the Sons of Italy, though? Remember several years ago, there was an issue about sprinklers. And the person in charge down there said, we're going to have to close down and merge with Lawrence or something.
Because of what reason?
Well, there's a sprinkler issue.
Oh, I don't know.
Something that was...
Oh, at the headquarters, a fire issue?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to get an update on that. I'll put it on my list.
They mentioned the VFW and the Sons of Italy.
I'll have to look into that. Good point.
I don't know whatever happened.
I'll make a note of that. All right, Brian, looks like we have to go to news or Chris will explode in master control. But
okay.
Thank you very much for that. Anything else real quick?
No, nothing real quick.
All right. Well, if you want...
If Greg is listening, because he grew up in Lawrence, and so maybe he has memories of the three saints.
Oh, okay. All right, well, feel free if there's time afterward to call back.
Okay, though.
All right, thank you so much, Brian. Take care. Bye.
Goodbye.
All right, so we are going to go to local news a little bit late. I'll tell you what, we're going to bring Community Spotlight right in after the weather, and Chris will just take a few things out. That'll save us a couple minutes. Last chance to call in a birthday or anniversary cake wish to win a free 7-inch cake from Albee D's Second Generation Italian Bakery, 978-374-1900. We'll be back.
Open mic!
Tim Coco and the Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900 or email tcoco@whav.net. If you are enjoying this program, please consider making a donation right now. Your donations to not-for-profit WHAV help keep these vital community services on the air. Donate online at www.whav.net.
It's 8:06.
WHAV LP Haverhill. WHAV is a nonprofit community service of Public Media of New England, Incorporated.
Here's what's happening in local news. 3rd District Congresswoman Nikki Tsongas, on the heels of Saturday's speaker appearance before the Haverhill Democratic City Committee, returned to the city Monday to, quote, tour a Veterans Resource Center and then to spend time with students and teachers at a preschool, end quote. Tsongas was scheduled Monday morning to visit Career Resources Corporation at the Landmark Building, 76 Merrimack Street, and Community Action Incorporated's Head Start at Fox Center, 75 Elm Street, according to her office. As a member of the House Armed Services Committee, Tsongas, quote, has been a strong advocate for veterans since taking office, in particular with assisting in the transition to civilian life. She is also, quote, a strong supporter of early education initiatives and for making those programs more accessible to American families. Tsongas Saturday criticized the Republican Party for allowing Donald Trump to become its nominee for president and called on local Democrats to cross the border into New Hampshire to help elect Hillary Clinton. Speaking at the annual pre-election breakfast of the Haverhill Democratic City Committee, Tsongas said the problem is bigger than simply Trump's nomination.
And I can't tell you how dismayed people are that not so much at Mr. Trump, who they are astonished at, but that a major party could produce a candidate like this. They cannot believe that this is what our country has come to.
Recognizing Massachusetts is reliably in Clinton's corner, she urged local Democrats to help New Hampshire's effort to elect the Democratic candidate. To cheers of applause, Tsongas credited Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders for raising key issues during the Democratic primary. These include, she said, the, quote, growing income gap between the top 1% and the rest of the country. Besides electing Clinton, the 3rd District Congresswoman said Democrats have a chance at taking the U.S. Senate away from Republicans this year by undertaking a state-by-state effort. She acknowledged, however, retaking the U.S. House of Representatives is, quote, a little more remote. Meanwhile, Methuen Democrat William Castro, candidate for Essex County Sheriff, received the most votes in a race during a straw poll Saturday. Castro won 40% of the unscientific poll involving an estimated 120 Democrats who gathered Saturday morning in downtown Haverhill. Following behind Castro was Jerry P. Robito, 18%, Michael J. Marks, 16%, Paul L.D. Russell Jr., 12%, Edward J. O'Reilly, 6%, and Kevin F. Coppinger, 5%. 3% of those attending did not cast ballots in the race. In other straw poll results, Democratic incumbents for state Senate and state representative seats in the Merrimack Valley led by resounding margins over their Democratic challengers. Details can be found at WHAV.net. 3 New Hampshire residents were arrested by Haverhill police early Sunday on drug possession charges. Jeffrey Tenney, 27, of Manchester, Dennis Vaughn, 60, of Laconia, and Constance Lowell, 43, of Bristol, were arrested between 12:02 and 12:37 a.m. at 35 Plastow Road. Each was charged with possession of a Class A drug. Tenney had outstanding warrants related to possession of a Class A drug, being present where heroin is kept, conspiracy to violate drug laws, and driving with a suspended license. Lowell also had an outstanding warrant related to possession of a Class A drug and conspiracy to violate drug laws. All 3 are due to be arraigned in Haverhill District Court. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and it's always free. In the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom, this is Dana Esmail.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Harry Horton. US actor Gene Wilder has died at the age of 83, his family confirmed. The actor was best known for his role in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He also starred in films such as Blazing Saddles, The Producers, and Young Frankenstein. Our US correspondent Priscilla Huff reports.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Gene Wilder's comedy was pure imagination, from Willy Wonka to Blazing Saddles to Young Frankenstein. He was fearless in finding the fun. His characters were neurotic, eccentric, and sometimes just a little bit mad. His nephew says the star died from complications of Alzheimer's. His friends describe him as the least shticky, that is, deliberately funny man they knew who could be oh so funny. Priscilla Huff, Washington.
Portugal's former Prime Minister Antonio Guterres has topped the 3rd straw poll to decide the next United Nations Secretary-General. The 15 members of the Security Council have expressed their opinions of the 10 candidates as they try to whittle down the challenges. Nick Harper reports from New York.
There was no change at the top for this, the 3rd straw poll. Former Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Guterres, again leading the 10 candidates as they all try to jockey for positions. At a time when the world is facing the worst refugee crisis since the end of the Second World War, it seems countries are favouring the former High Commissioner for Refugees, seeing him as the next potential leader to take over when Ban Ki-moon steps down at the end of this year. Slovakia's Deputy Prime Minister, Miroslav Lajčák, has jumped to second, with the head of UNESCO and Serbia's former Foreign Minister coming in third. Once seen as a potential safe pair of hands, New Zealand's former Prime Minister Helen Clark is still in the race in 7th. Some candidates may now feel it's time to withdraw, but there's no limit to the number of rounds or straw polls that can take place. Nick Harper, New York.
The United States has met its goal of admitting 10,000 Syrian refugees 1 month ahead of schedule. The Obama administration had pledged to admit 10,000 displaced Syrians during the current fiscal year. From Washington, Rebecca Foster reports.
The 10,000th Syrian refugee arrived in the United States on Monday afternoon, a key part of President Obama's humanitarian efforts in Syria and the region. The admission of refugees has become a hot topic in the U.S. presidential race. Republican nominee Donald Trump has warned Syrians entering the U.S. could be a great Trojan horse. More than 4.8 million Syrians have fled their country during the 5-year civil war, but just 2% of them have arrived in the U.S.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Wave weather!
I'm WHAV meteorologist Gary Best. With wave weather for the Merrimack Valley, generally clear skies for the night. Low temperature, upper 50s to low 60s. Mostly sunny, a beautiful day coming up on Tuesday. Temperatures near or just a bit over 80, low humidity. At night, fair weather in the low 60s. And then partly sunny and more humid on Wednesday, upper 80s. Chance of a late day shower or thunderstorm. This is Gary Best. Your next wave weather coming up in 30 minutes.
Community Spotlight.
The Greater Haverhill Art Festival again takes place this year at Bradford Common. The festival takes place Saturday, September 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Bradford Common, South Main Street, Route 125, Bradford. The event is rain or shine. Association members pay $30, while non-member exhibitors pay a $40 non-refundable payment at registration. There's no charge for visitors and buyers. There's more information at www.haverhillartassociation.org. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click on the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email news@WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Diane Carr.
WHAV.
This is Pacifica Radio for the Merrimack Valley. WHAV. This is Pacifica Radio for the Merrimack Valley. WHAV LP Haverhill. Listener-supported community radio.
Catch the wave, WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, WHAV presents the Open Mic Show with Tim Coco. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900. Or email tcoco@whav.net.
Welcome back to the Open Mic Show. I hope our caller is still there. Is our safety officer still on the line?
Yes, I am.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's okay. That's perfectly all right.
Great. What's on your mind tonight? We don't have answers.
How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about yourself?
Well, I come up with the suggestion and the idea that they should have signs up, right? Safety signs for the crossing guards that cross for the schools, because I believe there's like 2 a year that gets hit by a car.
That's right.
And I think that they should have a sign up for them to help protect them somewhat.
Good.
Also, I still like to talk about the bicycle situation. Kids driving in the road at night with bikes, no lights, no nothing, no safety devices at all, and dressed in dark clothes. They should get a ticket just like we do with a car.
You know what? I'm gonna follow up on that. I know you asked that. I've got to go back and see if I've got the answers yet. I know I was curious when you raised that question way back when there used to be license plates for bicycles. I wonder if that is still a city ordinance, and whether or not, or maybe it was never an ordinance. But I'd like to find out that. And then,
but when we were kids, if you can remember right, we used to have all that safety devices we were supposed to have.
No, absolutely. I remember having the little generator on the back tire that would light a light. Do you remember those?
Right.
They would kind of flick onto the tire. I wonder how many people are as old as we are here. But
and also, plugs pond's a big issue. Like Salt and Stall.
That's right.
I just hope that they make some up there. It drastically needs it.
Now I know I did ask. Human Services Director Vinnie Willett about the duck crossing, and he said that they were private ducks, but maybe they still need their own crossing, or at least a warning, so the drivers don't hit any. Maybe
Right.
we'll follow up on that. Good questions. I'm going to ask. I'm going to actually try to do this right away. I have another contact. I'm going to contact at the police department and ask about
Also,
bicycle safety.
We have a birthday coming up. It's Donald Bodwell. He lives at 786 Washington Street.
All right.
If, I want to put in for a cake for him.
Okay, his name is Donald
Bodwell.
All right. So, Chris, write that up. We're going to draw the winner in just a minute. So we'll add one more name to the cake contest. The winner receives a free inch cake, choice of vanilla or chocolate, from Albie D's second-generation Italian bakery.
And a couple other issues I have, but I just can't bring them up right now. But I think that would be a good thing, the safety sign to protect the safety guys. And, that way we ain't got to worry too much about them. And the bridges, remember they built the Como Bridge? They never put any higher grades on the outside on top. That's only like 3 feet tall. It's not tall at all. A kid could jump off of that like nothing.
Oh, good points. Good points.
I don't understand why they didn't, raise it a little higher. I mean, if somebody's walking across with a bottle of Coke or something, they could throw the Coke off the top of the bridge and hit somebody in a boat.
Yeah, that's actually, those are good suggestions. I hadn't thought about that, but since we're going to be building a new Basilier Bridge.
I mean, I like the job they did on the bridge. They did very well with it. And I hope
it's
the
very
city
nice
councilors
looking.
consider some of these proposals that I'm putting in, because I really think that some of them should be done, especially the bathhouse up the Plugs Pond, for the winter, facility ice fishing people.
Okay, I'm going to ask. I wrote down these three again. I'm going to follow up.
Okay, Tim, and I thank you very much. And
no, I appreciate. These are excellent suggestions. That's why you are the official.
one day I'll get to go on your show and we'll have a good talk together.
Well, that would be great. You're always welcome. You are our people ought to meet our public safety director at WHAV.
Right.
All right. Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
Take care of yourself, okay?
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye now.
Right. Okay, Chris is going to bring me the hat, and we're going to draw the winner for the September birthday cake or anniversary cake contest. So, Chris, he's folding that up. While he's doing that, let me remind you, and Jerry won the 2 free passes to Whittier Birthplace and Whittier Home Museum in Amesbury for naming the 3 saints. And we have one more prize, and that is a trivia. And the winner receives a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques. Okay, I know some of you have this answer, so let's try it one more time. Who ran the stamp shop, the postage stamp shop inside Boris Migliori's bike shop down on Fleet Street in Haverhill? That's H.R. Sawyer Swin Bicyclery. Who won the who knows the answer? Who ran the stamp shop inside Boris's bike shop? And you could win a $10 gift certificate to Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets in Haverhill. Okay, we have a lot of birthday and anniversary cake. And here we're gonna rotate these, and then I'm gonna hold it over my head, leave nothing in my hands, and we will pull the winner of the birthday or anniversary cake contest. Let's see who we have here. And, it's Aunt Effie. Aunt Effie won the birthday cake, and that is wonderful. Yaya, as she is known as. We call her Aunt Effie because of the couple next door. This wonderful character named Effie on that program that runs Friday nights at 10 o'clock, repeat at 1 a.m. And so this means Brian is back leading with consecutive winners. He's eligible because these are all different people winning the prize. So let's do that. And I believe we have another call, but I'm going to mark this. One way we found to get out the contest entries faster is if I mark them. So we'll do that. Let's a call. You are on the open mic. You're on the open mic. Might want to listen to your phone rather than your radio or TV.
Hello, Tim.
Yes.
safety advisor. I forgot to ask you a question while I had you on the phone.
Okay, sure.
How much water do you drink a day? We're worried about the water.
How much water does a fish drink a day? Well, I don't know.
I hope that somebody can answer that question for us.
You have a prize for them?
No, I don't. I'm sorry to say that.
Well, we'll give them baseball cards if someone knows the answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah, bye now.
All right. Well, that would be one way of solving the drought problem, is not letting the fish drink the water, but I don't quite know how we would enforce that. So that's a great question. Anyone who actually knows the answer or thinks they do, we'll give you a chance today. We've got about 7 minutes left of the program. We'll give you free baseball cards in the original wrapper, vintage baseball cards from Kimball Tavern Antiques, corner of Salem and South Main Streets in Haverhill. All right, it really was a great program tonight. Some great people. I want to do a shout out to Chris Porter, our in Master Control. He's the one that takes your names and addresses for these contests. He makes sure there's video for television. He's recording the audio and the video so we can do a repeat tomorrow at WHAV.net. I don't know how he does it, but he might ask for a raise. So let's not do too much there. Very thankful to have Domenic Messina and Jack Roy here on the program tonight discussing the 93rd Annual Feast of the Three Saints that takes place this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Okay, and the time we have left, I asked at the beginning of the program had gone to the Neighbor Fest in Mount Washington. Still willing to take your calls, 978-374. 1900. David Goudswood reminds us, he sent a message, David Goudswood, Open Mic Show, WHAV historian. I was telling you earlier in the program, the Whittier Home Association, this is the group, this is the home where Whittier moved to in 1836 when he left Haverhill. The Whittier Home Association is doing Celebrating Whittier 2016, a staged reading of selected passages of Delivering the Truth, a novel by Edith Maxwell featuring fictional midwife Rose Carroll and John Greenleaf Whittier. That's Saturday, September 10th, 7 to 8:30 at Amesbury Friends Meeting House. Amesbury Friends Meeting House, the House of Worship, 120 French Street in Amesbury. Tickets are $20. You can purchase those online at whittierhome.org, whittierhome, one word, .org, or you can call 978-388-1337. Once again, 978-388-1337. Well, there's 2 points here I think David Goudswood wants us to, 2 dots here David Goudswood wants us to connect, but Edith is also a contributor to a new work being compiled by David Goudswood, the second in a row. He did Snowbound with Zombies, a book still available at Whittier Birthplace in Haverhill as a fundraiser. David had donated all the proceeds, all of his rights to Snowbound with Zombies, and he's working on something else called Murder Among Friends, and Edith Maxwell is a contributor to that. Remember, I mentioned the Amesbury Friends Meeting House and Murder Among Friends. Connect those dots. David, thank you very much for all of your efforts. I hope you all saw David Goudswood's article, WHAV.net, on some interesting facts about the founding of the city of Haverhill. Not quite as clean and tidy as we've been led to believe, with the founder, the Reverend John Ward's being not convicted of burglary because the law didn't exist yet, but he was thrown out of Harvard. So interesting facts about the founding of Haverhill, as only David Goudswood can dig them up. I started out the program talking about a person I think should be named Haverhill's Poet Laureate. I hope you're listening, Mayor. I think you can make that appointment. Haverhill's Poet Laureate, Dan Speers. And I was just so impressed by this, and I don't necessarily mean the partisan politics, but so impressed that he could write a poem spur of the moment during the Haverhill Democratic City Committee breakfast last Saturday and sing it for WHAV's microphone.
It's a great day in America. It's a brand new day. We're on the right track, we're voting Democrat. Everything's going our way. Everyone can see we're Hillary. It's a brand new day. It's a great day in America. It's a brand new day.
And we're giving equal time to a Republican poet who's willing to sing his or her poem. Jack Roy, who was on the program a little while ago, said he might very well take us up on that. So we look forward to that. But it's all in good fun, folks. I hope you enjoy that. I certainly enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it. I believe I'm the one who asked for the poem just to see if he really could just do it on the spur of the moment. And he did a wonderful job. Dan Speers at Saturday's Haverhill Democratic City Committee breakfast. Other events we should be aware of. This is last minute, but I wanted to make sure we got this out. It's called A Common Ground, Finding the Gray, featuring candidates running for Essex County Sheriff. So this is a free, it's called a night of honest dialogue about what it will take to improve the outcomes of inmates, programs, and the service outreach in Essex County. Candidates for Essex County Sheriff will be there. That's Saturday, September 2nd at Poe's, 409 Washington Street in Haverhill from 6 to 8 p.m. So POSE is the Power of Self-Education based in Mount Washington, one of the leading organizations in the group that won the Working Cities Challenge grant from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. Profit helping the city of Haverhill. So this again is called A Common Ground, featuring candidates running for Essex County Sheriff. If you haven't made up your mind, there's like 13 in the race, so you haven't made up your mind yet, here's your chance to hear them. 6 to 8 p.m. Saturday, September 2nd, POSE headquarters, 409 Washington Street. Well, let me make sure of that. Let's make sure they didn't say what day is. I'm sorry, Friday. I take that back. Good thing I have a calendar here. Friday, September 2nd, not Saturday, Friday, September 2nd, 6 to 8 p.m. You can hear the candidates for sheriff. RSVP to either attend or participate. Oh, is it 8:30 already? All right, so you can call Kat or Dennis, 978-457-3676. 978-457-3676. It looks like we are out of time. Thank you very much. We'll be back. Are we back next week? No, that's the holiday. No, we're not going to be back on Labor Day. We'll have something great on WHAV for you. So Chris and I will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Open mic!
Join Tim Coco live on the Open Mic again next Monday night at 6:30. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic show are not necessarily those of WHAV, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.